What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wizards of Amazon podcast, where we cover all things private label. My name is Carlos Alvarez, and I'll be your host for the show. Today, I have an amazing person, the only person I've agreed with every post I've ever seen them post on social media, Joe Reichsfeld. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Amazing. Joe, you have a ton of experience when it comes to just business, best businesses practices, and as an e-commerce consultant. How many years do you have?
In e-commerce since 1999 and in business management since the mid 80s.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been in management all my life, actually.
I have to confess something here that whenever I have a question, and a full-time seller, 14 years, you still have questions.
I still have questions.
I want to just cut through the BS. Like I feel like nobody knows about the search feature in Facebook groups. And I'll just jump into that search feature and I'll literally put something like PPC Joe and just try to isolate some posts you're in regarding the subject. Just because I have been on the same page with nearly everything that I've ever hear you post about on social media, which is so rare. And then we've just spoke, I think, 30, 40 minutes having an amazing conversation before going live about different things. And I think we're on the same page with everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super impressed with everything you do. I was introduced to you by Sam JT, and the topic, because there can be 100 topics that you're an expert enough to cover in my opinion. And the topic that got my interest, because I know nothing about it, is Pinterest ads. And I guess we'd have to dive into a little bit of Pinterest period on the profile side. But before any of that, could you give, because I mean, you've been on podcasts, you've been everywhere. Can you give a short intro on you?
Sure. Well, I've been doing this since 1999 in e-commerce. I was in the food and beverage industry for 20 something years before that, but I've owned different businesses since I was 7. I started my first business when I was 7, and then had some when I was a teenager, and got into the restaurant hotel industry for a while in management, and then into e-commerce. My first e-commerce business was providing information for people that were moving to the area where I live. I live in Arizona, and a lot of people move here every month and still move here every month, just like I'm sure Florida. And I was providing tourist information, location, demographics and stuff for people that were moving here, shopping, schools, and for $50 a month in 1996. And they featured me on the local news, and the Arizona Bureau of Tourism started doing it for free 2 weeks later. Somebody must have seen it on TV.
Wow.
Then after that, I opened up a Native American and Southwest art business on the internet, and just started doing really well. That was in 1990. So I was a beta tester for GoTo and Overture, which was the original CPC providers.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when Google first started CPC, I owned all my search terms for 4 cents a piece.
The good old days.
When it got to a quarter, I was like, damn, that's expensive. And now look at it, right? And so I've been doing this for a long time. I've worked with everything from mom and pop shops up to giant Fortune 100 corporations. I like it. Each side has its strengths and weaknesses. So I enjoy what I do. Now, most of what I do is training, coaching. I do a lot of one-on-one coaching with sellers. I create a lot of content. And I just launched a Pinterest launching service, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I hope we can unpack a lot more like the Pinterest. Mm-hmm. You said a Pinterest coaching service or a
Pinterest launch service?
A Pinterest launch service.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you recently spoke at an event on that topic, or was that?
That was one of the topics. Yeah, it was a 2-day gig in London, and part of one day was Pinterest. Part of the other next day was content marketing management and Google Ads.
Awesome. And they all kind of gel together, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they're all spokes in the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. This Pinterest thing, like I'm very excited for this podcast. And this is the type of podcast that I want to do. And that is, I feel we're about to start and class is in session. That's what it feels like, mm-hmm. because I'm going to come from a total, I know nothing on Pinterest besides it's addictive when I'm in the bathroom to like scroll through it. Like that's the extent. That's the extent. And I realized, man, this is addictive because I've been here too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's funny. That's a funny admission.
Right. So that's what happens. So I want to be educated in this, and I'm excited for that on this episode. And I know all the listeners are going to be interested in this. So let's unpack this a little bit. Pinterest, like private label business. I'll be private label Carlos. I want to leverage Pinterest, and I have a product. We can pick an industry if you want, a product to use as an example, but where do I start? Pinterest.com, then what?
Well, let me explain what Pinterest is and how Pinterest works. The whole thing about Pinterest is you have to understand how they work and what their goals are, because they provide tools to us as sellers to take advantage of. And if you don't, you are nobody. But if you do, you can do very, very well. So Pinterest started as a wedding planning site. Women going to Pinterest, looking for stuff, ideas for their wedding, and pinning it to bulletin board, to basically a board. Imagine you have different boards on the wall in your office with topics on it. And as you find things that interest you, you pin it to that board, and that's where those topics live. That's really what Pinterest is. It's a planning site, but it's progressed over the years to be more than just wedding planning. It's everything. There's men and women on Pinterest now. It's still female dominated, but there's a lot of men. There's more men signing up than there are women. And there's actually more international users than there are US users signing up, which is big. But whether people realize this, whether sellers realize this or not, they have a lot of international sales through Amazon US. These people in other countries have their way of purchasing through Amazon US and getting their stuff, whether you know it or not. And so that's, there's some advantages to that. But Pinterest, you have to understand a little bit of SEO to understand Pinterest. Pinterest is basically a group of RSS feeds. All right. So I want to break it down, because if you understand the structure, you'll understand how to make the most of it. So think of a tree. Okay. You have a tree trunk. The tree trunk is Pinterest. Each branch, major branch, is a category. Each branch coming off of the major branches are topics and subtopics. Okay. So now when you picture that, now forget the words category, subtopic, and topic, and think keywords, mid-tail keywords, and long-tail keywords. Those are what your categories, subcategories, and topics are. Keywords, mid-tail keywords, and long-tail keywords. All of those are followable for a user. So when you first sign up to Pinterest, the first thing it says is pick 5 categories that you're interested in. So you pick 5 categories. Then every time you log into Pinterest after that, it floods your screen with pins in those categories. You just subscribe to 5 RSS feeds.
Or 5 branches.
5 branches. Yes, exactly. You just subscribe to 5 branches. So the key is you want to get your pins and your boards in those RSS feeds. So if you get on Pinterest and you live by the ocean, so let's say you like fishing, and you name your board Carlos is Fishing Weekends. No one's ever going to see it. No one's ever going to care. No one's ever going to look at any of those pins, because you'll never show up. But if you name them deep sea fishing, deep sea fishing gear, deep sea fishing accessories, and all different long tail keyword phrases that are already topics, subtopics, and categories on Pinterest, now you have an opportunity of getting in one of those RSS feeds.
And I think I know the answer here, but let me stop there real quick. So when you're naming your board, is what you said, it's not a situation where this name's already been used. You need to come up with something else. Like we could have boards on our accounts that are the same name, deep sea fishing.
Definitely. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, right. It's definitely, you want to use. Pinterest sees us as content creators. Okay, we are the content creator, be it just your product or be it a blog article, whatever it is, whatever you create that you're going to put on Pinterest, you are the content creator. Pinterest understands that they're not the brightest in the world and that they have an immature algorithm. So they want you to tell them where to classify it. So when you create a new listing or a new article, Pinterest wants you to immediately pin it yourself, because you're telling them, A, I'm the author, and B, this is what it's about. So then from that day moving forward, anybody else that pins off of your URL, whether they create the pin or not, all of the analytics go back to that original pin. That's something new on Pinterest, which is really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So you're telling Pinterest they want your help classifying the data. Mark Zuckerberg and his focus on the Winklevoss twins and getting back at them for who knows whatever, created this opportunity for Pinterest to slip in there. And they released a lot of upgrades in the last 2 years, completely transforming the platform. I have a free Pinterest workshop on my website that I've rewritten twice since October of 17.
What's the website URL and how would somebody access
it's eCommerceoptimizer.com.
I'm writing it down. You can see me on video. Like, I'm writing that down. That's where I'll be going after this.
It's eCommerce-optimizer.com. And we have a free Pinterest workshop, and it basically walks you through everything about Pinterest. And so Pinterest is SEO and visual. Pinterest is not a social media platform.
Okay,
they're trying to get away from that name.
You mentioned that Pinterest, like everything else, changes, and that lately the changes have been more. Many years ago, and maybe you can correct my very
your understanding.
Yes. So I was told when it comes to the type of posts to posts on Pinterest and these different platforms that you should look at it as Facebook is kind of like the past and things you did. Twitter and all these instant story things is the present right now.
Yes.
And Pinterest is the future.
Yes.
Like to do. Is that still?
Yes, it is. It is still. You on Pinterest, like with content marketing, you get people at different stages of the buyer journey. That's something people need to understand. With Google Ads and Google Search, it's informational as well as shopping and navigational. So every person that clicks on a Google ad is not looking for your product page. Sometimes they're looking for just information. There's these studies that say 75% of all searches start on Amazon. Yeah, they do. Once they decide they know what they want. But before they know what they want, they go to Google and they're searching for information to realize that they need something to solve this issue that they have, or that they even have an issue. Sometimes people don't know that, this problem that they have in their life is going to turn into a weight problem that is going to affect their health the rest of their life. And us as marketers, our responsibility is to help people along. So, you create content or information for people to lead them to the final destination, which is your product.
Okay. So Joe, what do you feel the percentage is? And you're probably going to get into it, and I'm just getting ahead of myself, but what do you feel like the percentage is that someone says, I want to buy something, let me jump over to Pinterest? Or is it that while they were on Pinterest previously, they saw, wow, like I can buy stuff here, and that was a cool product. Let me go through and buy it.
Pinterest is warm traffic. It's people. So the way Pinterest works, the way people find you on Pinterest is when you first pin something and tell Pinterest, this is what it's about. The first thing Pinterest does is they show it to your followers. All right. And then your followers' interaction with your pin determines where on Pinterest is going to show it to your non-followers. So it helps to cross-promote your social sites, because if you have a fanatic that follows you on Facebook, they're going to follow you on Pinterest, and they'll be the same one that interacts with your pin right away on Pinterest, and that helps your pin.
And what does that interaction look like?
Them saving it, them commenting on it. There's a tried it feature where they can say they've tried something and post a picture to a pin that shows that they've tried something.
Okay.
Yeah, it's mostly saving. There's not as much there's very little social interaction and commenting really done on Pinterest.
Well,
It's more,
for a lot of people, that's a good thing.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So Pinterest, people don't realize this. Pinterest is about to be bigger than Amazon and Twitter. People
Okay, you
don't,
got to unpack that because probably every
yeah.
Amazon listener in the world right now that's hearing this is going to be like, "What?"
Amazon has 350 million members. Pinterest hit 300 million members in the second quarter of this year. When I started the workshop, October of 17, October of 18 is when I started the workshop. When I started the workshop in October of 18, Pinterest had 250 million users. Now they've got 350 million users, or it's 300 million users. Sorry. So they should hit 350 January, February, which is nuts.
What would you refer to Pinterest as? So like I can refer to it correctly. Well, this is a search engine. We're not going to call it a social media platform, even
It's
though
a visual search engine.
okay, we're going to call it a visual search. So it's almost like Google Images, but it's just standalone.
Very much so. It's
right.
Google Images with more words. Really,
nice. Yeah,
is what it is. Pinterest now is where Facebook was in 2014. So in the end of 2022, 2023, Pinterest is going to be to e-commerce search what Facebook is to social media.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a bold statement.
They will. I'd be willing to bet money on that.
Where does somebody, because not everybody has the bandwidth in their business to turn, like I'm doing air quotes, turn everything on in their business in different social platforms. And a lot of people I don't agree with, they just totally neglect their Google SEO when they're starting a business in private label. But where would you put in importance somebody starting private label should get into Pinterest, and what does that look like? Because I imagine my garlic press, like how many, I know the answer here. I'm kind of like throwing it up for you, but what am I going to do? Daily post a different angle of my garlic press? Like, what does that look like?
Well, most people will tell you have to pin 30 times a day.
I've heard
Do you have time? Do you have time to pin 30 times a day, every day?
I do not.
Me neither. Me neither. And that's actually not true. You don't have to post 30 times a day. What Pinterest wants is consistency, whether it's 30 times a day or once a day or 3 times a week. They just want consistency. They react to consistency and will get you more, more turnaround on your images. Yes, they like people that pin a lot, but you dilute the message with 30 pins a day, and then you're diluting the message with other people's pins. Do you have enough original pins to create 30 pins? I mean, that's a lot of data and a lot of information. Pinterest is not a flip the switch tomorrow you have sales kind of thing. If you sign up for Pinterest today, you're not going to get noticed tomorrow. Maybe not next week. It can take 3 to 9 months. For the lazy person, it's going to take 9 months, if ever, because they're the ones naming their boards Carlos's Fishing Friday. They're not following the path. So Pinterest, there's two sides to Pinterest. There's the profile, developing your profile and developing a presence, which is the big picture, but also the long game. And then there's Pinterest pin ads. If you have a Shopify store or a WooCommerce store or any kind of a store with a catalog, you can have those live on Pinterest in 2 hours as your catalog. You can upload your catalog. You export your product feed from Shopify. You change a couple column titles. You save it to your Shopify site, and you point Pinterest to it. And tomorrow you have buyable pins on Pinterest. And the best part is no fees. Pinterest lets you sell for free. And so somebody clicks on that, they go right to your Shopify site and buy.
So obviously, if they want that kind of setup, they're not doing things like throttling your reach because you are linking out, that type of thing.
No, not at all. Every pin has to have a URL, or you're wasting your time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, every pin has to have a URL. And now you can use Amazon affiliates with Pinterest as well now.
Oh,
you used to not be able to do that, but now in your affiliate account on Amazon, there's a place for you to go into and add your Pinterest profile. So what that says is you don't have to have a website to be an affiliate anymore.
It's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little ninja tip there.
Yep. And it works. It works really well. I know people, and I have people that use their affiliate account for product testing and for proving a product. They have stores with their product and all the other products in their category with affiliate links, and that's how they decide what their next product is going to be, and what side categories to go into. There's a lot people can do with affiliates, but there's people that make a lot of money with all the different affiliates on Pinterest right now, because that it's allowed and it's something you can do. So on Pinterest, Pinterest is the #1 source of free buyer intent referral traffic on the internet, and has been since 2018.
I get that term, but I just know if I was to go into my meetup group and say buyer intent referral traffic, I would get
warm.
I would get a lot of those. I'd get a lot of those nods, like somebody speaking a foreign language, and you think just smile and nod your head. So unpack buyer referral traffic.
Buyer, that's somebody that's somebody that's seeking you out. So on Pinterest, once your follower interacts, then Pinterest takes the pin, and what do? They put it into feeds of people that have already indicated that they have an interest in your topic. They don't show it to people that have just anybody. They don't just throw it up there based on your reviews or anything like that. They only show it to people who have indicated that they're interested in that topic. So they're showing it to somebody who's already said, I want to know more about this. And the more somebody pins and saves pins of their own to boards about, let's say you sell water skis, and I'm a water ski freak. So I have all my own boards of water skis, and I follow that category. Well, it's going to show me more pins that are water ski related. So then when your followers interact with your new ski pin, it's going to show that to me. Well, I'm already interested in this subject. Cool. Thank you. Not like, you see ads that just come up and that are just there, or, on some sponsored product ads where you're just running automatic campaigns and you're showing up on anything, anything that's widely related, to your product. It's not like that. So 93% of Pinterest users state that they use Pinterest to plan purchases. 87% of Pinterest users have bought something after seeing it on Pinterest. So that equates to about 260 million products a month that are purchased after being seen on Pinterest.
Oh, that's powerful. Taking a step back to the profile, because we kind of glossed over that. And for me, I have a business. I'm assuming, and I don't want to do that. So I have a business. I want to use Pinterest for business. But while I'm on there, maybe I like the platform and I want to use it personally. Mm-hmm. Is that two separate profiles?
Yes.
What would you name your profile, a business name or a personal name? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So you have a business. You have a personal profile on Pinterest. So if you want to get your business on Pinterest, they tell you can convert your personal profile to a business profile. But if you have non-business stuff in there, it's not worth it. Set up a separate business profile. And in your business profile, don't put stuff that's not related to your business. If you do, make that board private so that you're not confusing the algorithm. So if you sell water skis, your business profile should be about water skis, and you should only have boards in there about water skis and the general subject, not gardening. If you like gardening too, put your gardening stuff in your own personal.
It would be safe to say, say I was selling ski accessories. Mm-hmm. The board was about skis, snow ski. I could say here are also some great places to ski.
Yes, that's part of it.
Okay.
Those are long tail keywords.
Yes. No, I'm getting it. I don't want to assume though. Classes in session. I want to hear this.
Yeah. So those are your long tail keywords. So so you might have. Let's go back to the water skis. You might have you have a board sports. That's got like 2,800, 28
I got chills.
million.
I have chills now when you said they're connecting.
Right. Sports has like 28 million followers. That's nuts. Okay, so your main board might be sports. Then underneath it, you might have water sports. Then underneath that, you might have water skiing. Then you might have water skiing supplies, water skiing accessories.
Resorts,
Yeah,
maintenance of water skis, and
water skiing on rivers. You know, I mean, it's amazing. You know what they have as topics and subtopics. Um,
and
and
each one of these is URLing, if you will, if that's a word. We're URLing out to.
each pin is you want you URL out to either content or a product. So each product or article that you want to put on Pinterest, Pinterest recommends that you have at least 5 different pins for that piece. Okay, and that makes sense when you think about it, because if you have your water skis or your water ski accessories, there are different long tail keywords that, while they are about the same product, in essence, they're about different things. Accessories versus places that can still both refer to the same set of water skis. So you'd have 2 separate pins for that. So it gives us so that your SEO is spot on. That's the whole thing, is the more specific your SEO is to a category or a subcategory or a topic, the more chances you're going to end up in that product feed. And that's where you want to be. Because if you end up in a product feed that has 28 million followers, you're not going to get 28 million eyes on your product that weekend, but you might get 1,000, you might get 1,000,000, who knows? And you're going to get a bunch. And that's where people drive a ton of traffic from.
So I would link out to my, to a blog, to a product, to a video. Does that work?
You can link it. You can link out to a video, or you can just have a video pin.
Okay.
Or carousel pin.
Okay.
These are new things. These are some of the things that they've released in the last 12 months. Video pins are huge on a mobile phone. So 80% of Pinterest users are on mobile.
Oh yeah, well that makes sense. That's good.
So what's that mean? That means that your pictures need to be vertical.
Oh, nice. So anybody that's already into like IGTV or Instagram stuff might already have that workflow down pat when it comes.
So if you have all your images formatted for Amazon and they're square, which is not really the smartest thing on Amazon either, because that means they're not mobile optimized. But if they're square on Amazon and you need to make them vertical, make them vertical and add text.
Okay.
That's the easiest fix to it.
I'm a dog lover too, so I have to ask, what kind of dog? I have 4 of them at the house. So
I have a brindle lab, and my son has a brindle chihuahua, and my lab is going to start talking like Chewbacca in just a second. Excuse me for 1 second. I need to open the front door.
That's fine.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, definitely. Wow. So while Joe's gone, Pinterest is really blowing me away. I've only used it really on the personal level. And I've always been curious that, if I have a product, like how does this fit? And when looking at stuff on Pinterest, you never know, like what's this a good post? Is it a bad post? Is it a good pin? Is it a bad pin? So hearing all this really helps. Now, I was just saying how that hearing this now, I'm going to jump back on Pinterest and look at things differently through a different, like, was this good? Was this thought out? Wow, that board name sucks. They don't know SEO, like that type of thing. So you have 2 profiles, probably personal and business. I'm assuming it's a good idea to create a personal one, really just to look at it from both sides and understand the user of it, or no?
Yes, because like with me, I have a lot of accounts that I look at. And I learned this the hard way. I have some people in the wedding category. So I would start looking at wedding stuff on my business feed. All of a sudden, my business feed is filled with wedding crap that I just really don't want in my business feed. So I use my personal account for that kind of stuff, for research.
Okay.
Yeah, what you'll notice now when you go back and look at Pinterest, you're going to look at a lot of pins and say, wow, there's no description. There's no title. What the hell? Pinterest just actually changed their focus on titles and stuff to even more so. If you're saving a pin to one of your boards and it's somebody else's pin, which you should do, and it doesn't have a title or a description that's SEO optimized, change it.
And that's cool. Changing the
Yeah.
title of somebody else's stuff.
Adding descriptions and stuff like that. Yes. Pinterest Pinterest, like Google with um, ad quality. Pinterest also will look at your pin and they'll look at the URL and they want to see that they match. So you want your keywords to refer to your product. You don't want to post a pin with your water skis and then put as the title, let's say, you put Carlos's weekend fun, but it points to a product page for water skis. That's not relevant, in Pinterest eyes. So it won't rank as high.
What? They'll stop the pin, or they just won't give it exposure.
They won't give it as much exposure.
Okay.
It's all about feeding the beast. They've shown you what they want and what they expect, and if you just do that and follow their path that they've laid out and have brilliant imagery, you're going to do well.
Before jumping over to pinned ads,
Mm-hmm.
you have a best practice for, and it might be in this in the free course, but do you have a best practice on approaching this, like determining, in my category I should probably post this amount, or which would be better to start with? Some of these longer tail keywords, the trunk, the branch, or the leaf?
Yeah, you start with the trunk and work out to the branch and the leaf. So boards within boards are called sections. Sections have very little SEO value. Okay. So now going back to water skis, your top level board is going to be sports. And then within there, you're going to have other boards breaking down. Well, as you break those boards down, make copies of them and make them their own individual boards. That way they get picked up through SEO.
So it's almost like a Pinterest funnel that they can see, but they can also see each section of the funnel.
Right. They can't find the inside of it when it's in a funnel. So that's why you want to break it out as well. And it also gets more eyes on product. You show up in more search results.
I would imagine it can get very complicated if you're not organized.
Yeah, you need to be organized. The way they lay out Pinterest, your own profile, with your board view, you can stay organized.
Okay.
But it's very easy to get out of control. It's very easy to get out of control. The thing that I recommend the most, so some people say, do I pin my own stuff? Do I pin other people's stuff? What do? You want to pin, in the beginning, you probably don't have enough pins. So you want to pin 80-20, 80% of other people's stuff, 20% of your own. So you build a board about water skiing, you look for pins that are going to complement your board. Well, this goes back to Facebook and social media. When you want to share an article, you don't share an article that has no likes and no shares. Share an article that has lots of engagement. Same with Pinterest. When you pin, it used to be called repinning, now it's called saving. When you save somebody else's pins to your board, only save high quality pins that already have engagement. That guarantees you traffic. It guarantees you followers. That's part of building out your following and building out your fan base.
Genius. I love how you're connecting it to other things that I can definitely connect with and understand.
So Pinterest, they go out of their way to make it easy for you. When you type in a search on Pinterest, so you start typing in water skis. As you're typing it in, boom, the drop down comes down. And what's in there? It's the auto suggest. Those are the highest searched relevant keyword terms that go with your search. Then you hit enter, and there's a bar underneath your search bar across the screen. And it's got little boxes. And each one of those little boxes is, again, in search order, the highest searched keyword phrases. And you'll see different places in Pinterest where they'll have a little box. Instead of a pin, they'll have a little box. And they'll say, relevant searches. They give you all these keywords. They tell you the keywords that you should be using as you look around. All of that's in the free workshop. All that's covered in there.
You're going to see a quick download and an email coming in right after this show from me. But I'm sure a lot of other people are. You know what? If you don't mind, I'd like to share it also out to my to my group and my people. That'd
Yeah,
be great.
sure. So something I get a lot of requests. Pinterest is not an overnight thing. Your Pinterest profile and developing your
Well,
presence on
most
Pinterest.
great things are not.
Yeah, right, exactly, right. If it sounds too good to be true, your mom was right. It is.
Yes.
It definitely. So there's a lot of people that ask me, they say, I don't have time to do this for it to take 9 months. Well, I kind of agree. I feel the same way myself. There's tools you can use and ways to do it. Pinterest VA is probably the hottest new job title out there. And they make a lot of money. There's women that actually teach these other women to do it. And it can get expensive. There's a tool called Tailwind. And I have a link in my workshop as well. Tailwind works with Pinterest and with Instagram, and you can schedule your pins out a month at a time.
Nice. That's super convenient.
Right. So that takes 30 pins a day. Let's say I try to stick with 3 or 4 pins a day, but I schedule them out a month at a time.
So you have 120 plus posts in queue.
Yeah, the whole month.
You're going about your day and you're fine. Yeah. That's
so
great.
Your job, my job, your listeners' jobs is not to be working in your business. It's to be working on your business and engaging with your buyers. And that's what you need to be doing during the month. It's you don't need to be worrying about what you're going to pin tomorrow or pin later or pin 3 times today. You worry about that one Sunday a month. Then the rest of the month, you worry about engaging with everybody that engages with any post or anything that you do. That's how you build your business. You respond to every comment, just like on Facebook. Somebody leaves a comment, you respond back.
Absolutely.
It's all about engagement. That's the difference between us and companies like Amazon. And so even some of my big corporate clients, there's no face to those companies. They're just machines. Amazon is a machine. Amazon is not buyer centric, and they don't know what customer service is. Customer service on Amazon is refunding your money as the seller. That's what customer service is on Amazon. That's not customer service. So for a small seller to say, oh, I'm up against Amazon, I've got I'm screwed. You're not screwed. Put a face to your company and offer great customer service. That's how you compete with those big companies and Amazon themselves. And that I don't understand why people don't understand that. That to me is
that's a whole topic in and of itself.
Yeah, right. It sure is. It sure is.
No, what about Pinterest ads or pin ads?
So let me talk a little bit more about the profile, and then I'll get into ads. The thing about the profile is it can take a long time. So what you want to do is you need to understand, if you set Pinterest up correctly from the beginning with this structure that I'm talking about, you get further ahead quicker. Okay, but then you need to build a following, and there's different things. That search bar has all your answers in it. Once you do a search, there's a drop down on the right. It drops down and it says people, blogs, people, boards, products, and pins. So that's where you find your influencers. That's where you find the like boards. That's where you find people to follow that are engaged with other boards in your category. You want to follow people that are engaged. Don't follow people with 2 pins. Follow people with hundreds of pins and followers themselves. That's engagement. You want to build, people using your product. So something, I understand that sellers are very busy. And I mean, it took me a while to establish my Pinterest account too. And I'm still working on it. And I mean, it's where do things fit in your priorities? So based on my recent speaking event in London and the amount of requests that I get all the time about it, we just started a Pinterest launch service through my company for businesses and sellers. And basically what we do is we get about 3 months worth of work done for you in 3 weeks. So in 3 weeks, you have research done. And we have two plans that we're offering, the light plan and the standard plan. So the light plan is 4 boards with 8 pins each. And the standard plan is 8 boards with 8 pins each, or 64 pins. So we do that for you in 3 weeks. At the end of the 3 weeks, when we deliver, you get a screencast and a meeting with me where I give you a marketing plan that lays out the keywords that you should be focusing on, how to create SEO optimized titles, how to create SEO optimized descriptions, and the direction that you should continue to take your Pinterest account and that to grow your account. It's all about sales, right? It's about, I mean, we're in that business. So if I can get 3 months out of the way for you, that's
huge.
Yeah. And then
where can somebody find that?
That would be on my website. It's right on the front page of my website. There's a
eCommerceoptimizer.com.
Yep. And it's Pinterest launching service. It's right on the front there.
Okay. Yeah.
We just launched that on Friday, and it's actually, I got a lot of orders already.
Yeah, no, that'll be really good. I'll actually link to it in the show notes too for anybody that wants to get it that way. eCommerceoptimizer.com.
So your profile, that's one direction. You need a presence on Pinterest. Even if you just run ads, it will help your ads. The other way to get things moving is to run pin ads. All right. And here's a tip for everybody. Within Pinterest ads area, there's one of the targeting things that you can do is by keyword. When you type in a keyword into the Pinterest ad targeting area, it gives you search volume. So it gives you related keywords. So if you type in water ski, it's going to give you 50 related terms, and it's going to give you the search volume.
And are the terms organized? I guess they're organized in the order of the search volume. So
no, they're not in the ad thing, but it tells you what the search volume is. Sure. So you know, well, that should be part of your research for developing your boards and your pins.
So before you're building that out, you jump over to the ads section. So you don't need to profile before the ads. And that's going to let you know search volume 70,000 versus search volume 70.
Right. That helps. It's more information. The other part of that is you should be using that keyword area, targeting area, for your Amazon keyword research.
Interesting. And you feel like the search approach on search is the same on Pinterest and Amazon, or similar enough?
They're people buying products.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Can't be that different. There are 2 billion searches a month on Pinterest.
I want a little bit of that.
Right? That's the attitude. That is exactly the attitude. I've always said when I was selling that if I could have 0.1% of Amazon's business, I'm fat and happy.
How many people do you know that say they receive regular sales on Pinterest? I know Pinterest is changing, and you're beginning to educate people on how to do this. But I haven't come across a lot of people that say, I have a nice little revenue coming from Pinterest.
I know people that have no products that have a shitload of revenue coming from Pinterest just through affiliate sales on their blogs.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I want to be one of those.
And that's no products, and they're making a ton of money on Pinterest.
Fantastic.
I have had a client that had a product on an Amazon product, and she was doing about 45 sales a day and got invaded by China and got down to about 15 sales a day. So we started running some pin ads, no profile or nothing. She started running some Pinterest ads and got up to 50 and is now back over 100 sales a day on Amazon. And I would say right around half of it is coming from Pinterest. The other half is coming from the improved ranking that she got on Amazon for the traffic.
Wow.
And sales.
Yeah, I actually have a client right now. Coffee used to be one of my main spaces, but coffee accessories, and now he's in it. Right after this call, I'm going to jump over there. I think I can see all kind of amazing fits that he'd have in that space over in for like the trunk, the branch, and the leaf. There's just so much meat on the bone there on Pinterest. So that's amazing. And what would be, I mean, you already gave an amazing tip there when it came to pin ads. Maybe say, is there something you see most people do wrong when it comes to pin ads? Or does Pinterest make it so easy that
they don't make it. They make it easy, but people make it hard. Overcomplicating things. People overcomplicate and overthink things, and they don't use the tools that are there to naturally help them. I see a lot of that. Even on Amazon and in the Facebook groups, people overcomplicate stuff to make themselves and their opinion sound so much better, when it's just not that hard. And if you keep it simple, stupid, is really a big part of it. So here's a good something that we've learned from Pinterest on Pinterest ads. Target every ad for weddings, women's fashion, and there's one other category. There's 3 women category. So even if you sell water skis or men's clothes or anything, it's a woman dominated platform. So you want to create your pins, etc., to appeal to a woman. Women buy things for men all the time. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that's the only person in the house that does the buying. Yep. So women are more emotionally motivated and emotionally driven. So like your Amazon ads, put emotions into your pins, trigger the emotions to want to have that product right this minute. I preach about
the whole sense of urgency.
Yeah. It's, somebody looks at your Amazon ad, you want them to say, wow, hey, look at this. Hey, look, they do this that these other guys don't. Wow, I need this now. Click, before they even scroll. Well, that is what you want to trigger on Pinterest as well. Whereas the men on Pinterest, they're more about their structured boards and everything looking just right and logical buys. But the men, there's just not as many men on Pinterest. So, go for the throat, go for the emotions, target the emotions. But we find with Pinterest ads specifically, and I will verify the category, the 3 targeted category names for you, so you could add it to your notes under the podcast. Women, I want to say fashion, or wait, weddings, fashion, and I want to say beauty supply. Okay. There are 3 distinct categories that are women targeted. It can be this, and I'm going to put it in those 3 categories, and the category it belongs in, and the category it belongs in, because I know who buys these. I'm not going to the store to buy one of these.
Joe, yeah. To be respectful of your time, there's a free, I want to recap some of this because you unpacked a lot of stuff. There's a free Pinterest workshop. Am I saying that right? Or free Pinterest workshop?
Workshop. Yep.
Free Pinterest workshop that you can find on the website. I'm assuming it's like right there in front of your face when you get there.
Yep.
Okay.
Sure is.
And there's also a way to hire you for launch services that are on the website. You're probably going to hear me on both of those. And the place to find that is eCommerceoptimizer.com. Yes. What other ways is it good for someone to read? I mean, you're in like every Facebook group out there in the Amazon space, but what are the best ways to get a hold of you for people that I know are going to have questions about what we talked about?
They can email me at joe@ecommerceoptimizer.com. They can find me on my Facebook page. We have a YouTube channel, eCommerce Optimizer, with Pinterest, Instagram. I mean, I'm all over the place. I'm not that hard to find. Just
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I like, I don't think the learning avenues are adequate out there for sellers, particularly new sellers. And I don't think that for sellers with experience that want to hone their skills, there's not a lot of in-depth knowledge out there. I've got 20 years of resources and experience that I share with the people that I coach. And I try to make a lot of it available, like through my blog. I have a lot of blog posts where I go into detail about the different things that we do. We don't teach black hat. I don't teach shortcuts. I don't teach review manipulation or giveaways. I don't even talk about that crap. So I teach solid traditional marketing, PR, advertising, things they did in ancient Greek times that still freaking work.
Yeah, evergreen strategies that are going to work.
And it's all about that stuff. That's what builds out next year. I want to be here next year. I want my clients to be here in 3 years, 5 years. One thing that we do that I stress with everybody is you should have a goal list on your wall by your desk with my 30-day goals, my 60-day, my 6-month goals, and my 3-year goals. And whatever you do should hit 2 of those goals minimum. So do giveaways and training people to be cheap, does that hit my 30-day, 6-month, or 3-year goals? What's it going to pay? What's the payout on 6 months for that? So for me, it's a no-brainer. I just don't do it because it doesn't meet my future and my goals. And that's, if sellers focused on stuff like that a little more, that would probably change how they do a lot of things.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
For a lot of people, it's so simple, it's difficult. It's so simple, it's difficult.
Right. And they have to find a way to make it harder.
Sales on Amazon, have somebody go to the site and buy your product, convert. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
And then do that a few thousand times.
Mm-hmm. It's like reviews. How do you get good reviews? Give a good service, provide exceptional service. Prime members are conditioned to buy 9 times a month, they say, and they buy 4 items per visit.
Oh yeah, I'm several times a day.
Do you know how many review emails they must get from Amazon before they get your review email? What do you do to stand out in a buyer's mind to make them want to leave a review? That's what people should be thinking about, as opposed to, can I send this email 5 times? I don't understand that thought process.
I'm 100% sure, especially from our talk before recording, that if I'm able to impose on your time in the future to have you on more episodes, I definitely want you on.
Yeah, I'd love to come back.
I feel like we could talk for 6 hours and just be getting started. So I'm going to wrap it up here. eCommerceoptimizer.com. Joe, you've been amazing. You even exceeded the expectations that I had. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Great, Carlos. Nice talking to you. Take care.
Liked what you heard and want to stay connected? Join our Facebook group or find me anywhere on social media at Wizards of Amazon, or text the word Amazon to 69922.